Hiya, welcome back to the channel. In the Beamer today, and I'm just, well, got a little bit of a noisy wheel bearing. I'm not 100% sure which one it is. I don't know if you can hear it, but can you hear it? And if I turn that way, when I turn left it seems to get louder, so I think that it is on the front right. So that's what I'm going to change. So that's what this video is, changing a front wheel bearing on a BMW E46. Some other BMWs have the same wheel bearing, so it will be the same as others as well, which I'll try and put in the title. But this one's an E46. And this is the part that I intend to fit. I don't know if you've noticed, but this isn't just a bearing, it's a full hub. ABS ring, everything. And well, first what I need to do is I need to jack the car up, which involves using the jacking point, which I repaired in a previous video, so it means I've got to have a bit of faith in that repair. But I'm not going to go underneath it, so it's okay. Yes. And upon further inspection, just by spinning the wheel, I can't really tell anything wrong with it. I mean, there's no play in it. It's not making any noise now, but there is no weight on it. Now, like I said, when I turn left, it goes worse, which indicates that it's when it's loading up the right-hand side bearing. Now, that one on the back there has been changed not that long ago, so I hope it's not that one, because that is an absolute twat to change when the C's up. So, this one should be nice and easy. Famous last words. So let's take that shitter off, and then remove these bolts. Yes. Right, so, little tip, if you use an impact gun on a wheel and you're trying to undo it, make sure the wheel can't turn around and round and round, because it takes the hammer out of the impact gun. As soon as you held the wheel still, it came straight out. I mean, it's unusual for that buzz gun to fail actually, but it did get him out eventually. Now, alright, so next, let's move on to the next thing. I need to set this caliper off, which is easy to see with light on the phone. Got a 16mm there. I've got another 16mm there, and they need to be removed and out of the way. Now this, right, these and a 3/8 drive ratchet might not have the cabbage to undo this. I might need some extra help. Now, another thing is, sometimes it's easier to turn the steering full lock so you can get in there easier and put a bit more force on it and get more room, but I'd rather struggle, so I'm going to try and undo these by struggling and using whatever method that I can to get enough leverage on it. As you can see, I've got a strong arm with a socket on the end of my ratchet, which works quite well actually, and it gives me enough leverage, sorry YouTube, give me enough leverage to undo that one. Now let's try the same with the other one. Yes. And so as you can see, that is one bolt removed completely. One is still in there because it's not fallen off yet. What I need to do is I need to remove this bolt here, because I am going to have to set the disc off. So it's easy to remove that with the caliper in place, because you can stick a screwdriver in there and jimmy the shitter so it doesn't keep on turning the disc round and round when you're trying to undo it. It's even easy if you've got a buzz gun, but the buzz gun's inside and I can't bother going getting it, so I've done it that way. These discs, by the way, are pretty good. Kept on having issues with, this is completely unrelated to what I'm doing here, kept having issues with discs warping and what have you. I had tried Padgett, Borg & Beck, you know, decent brands. Kept on fucking up after a couple of months, 3 months or so. These ones have been on about 18 months now. Genuine BMW discs and pads. And look at them. They are actually better than the other shit I was putting on, obviously. Right, let's set the other bolt out of this and crack on with this job that we're actually doing today, that the video is about. Ish. That's another bolt out, and then the caliper and the disc has actually all come off as one, which isn't quite what I was hoping for, so I've just put a bolt back in it. In fact, I just put 2 bolts back in it. Because basically I've just fucked up. Right, now I need to get this caliper off here. And then I need to hold that in a place where it's not going to be stretching that pipe, which for me is on top of that toolkit. You can use a hook and hang them up on places, but as long as it's not stretching the cable, the fucking brake hose, then you shouldn't really do any damage. And what I want to make sure I do as well is, because these discs are probably about 100 quid each, I don't want to drop that neither. But let's see what happens when I'm trying to take it off with one hand. Yes! And that leaves us with this. And rather promisingly, now there's nothing else on it to get in the way, like it had the disc on it before when I was spinning the wheel, which is going to make noise. This shouldn't really make any noise, and it is doing. So hopefully that is an indication that this is the thing that's driving me fucking mad. So I need to get a chiswas and knock that off nice and carefully. Might need a hammer, I might be able, no, I won't need a hammer. Yes. Now to undo this, which is it's the same size as the new one, then it's that size, which is 46mm, which I need an adapter for, which I have got. And if this doesn't work, I've got a big fucking massive buzz gun which will do it, but this should probably do it because it don't have to be ridiculously tight. Not sure what torque it's meant to be. If I can find that out, I'll put it in an overlay. But it is just a straight fit bearing, so it's not like just as a thing here now. When I put the new one of these on, you don't have to tighten up and then back it off or anything. It's a straight fit bearing, it's not a tapered bearing where you've got to set it to a certain sort of tightness with some certain amount of backlash, not backlash, a certain amount of slop in it. Right, I need to buzz that off. Yes. Right, so that's that bit off. And then this bearing should just pull off. They're supposed to seize on there, but I've done a few of these and I've never had one seize up yet. Famous last words. And then the new one just seizes up going on instead. And it seems that in my case, the new high quality eBay bearing is pretty tight. So what I'm doing is I'm just tapping it on with a Samuel Jackson. Gently. It don't need a big wallop. If it needs a load of twatting, then it's something wrong. But what you've got to be careful of is if you're knocking a bearing into something or onto something, the shaft is in the middle, so you have to tap the race that touches the part that it's tight against. Otherwise you'll knacker the bearing up. Say for instance the out of this bearing, like there's a bearing there. If that's getting knocked into this, then you have to tap the outside race because that's what's touching the outside. On the inside, you have to touch the inside race. Brilliant, I won't point the camera at what I was looking at. I'll just explain it again. Basically, with this bearing, if I was knocking this into this recess on this up, I'd have to knock the outside race, which is touching the outside, but I'm knocking the inside onto the shaft, so I tap the inside, which is touching against the inside shaft. It doesn't need a lot. Just genitalia taps. And then when it's all the way, it'll make a different noise. I mean, it's all the way now, so I can't really demonstrate the difference of noise, but basically it'll sound more like a ching rather than it'll sound less dull. And then we can put the nut on it, and then we tighten that up to, I believe, it's about 200 foot-pounds, I think. Whatever that is in English, I'm not sure. But if it's different, I'll put it in the overlay. Let's tighten that shitter up to about 200 foot-pounds. Yes. And it seems to still turn. And just to make sure it doesn't come undone, we put a tab in it there, which if you can see where the chisel is the chisel was there, placed in that location. And I twatted the end of the chisel there with a hammer to make that dint there, which is like a locking tab. So now it's time to build it back up and hope the noise is gone. Starting with the disc. And then there's this centre cap, which was so poor quality and badly fitting that I ended up having to use the old one. But fuck it, that'll do. Then obviously we need to put the brake caliper back on. which is just the same as it come off. The 2 bolts, 16mm, and they obviously need torquing up to a preset designating torque setting, and the same applies to the wheel, which also needs to be torqued up to a pre-designated set torque setting. Not forgetting the finishing touches. Yes. Right, let's tidy it up and then go and drive the shitter and see if it's any better. And obviously, before you set off, you need to pump the brake pedal because you've been fucking about with brakes. But I don't know if you can hear that, but neither can I. Seems like it has actually shut it up. So that is actually successful. More successful than I anticipated, in all honesty. I was half expecting it to be a back wheel bearing, which are an absolute twat. So don't forget to like, subscribe, all the other stuff. Check out my other videos. I do understand that this probably isn't the best video on how to change a wheel bearing on one of these. There's definitely better ones on YouTube. But thanks for watching if you did. And see you next time.